Good morning. Welcome to What's Up Ocala. I am your host, Andrea Praber. I am the broker owner of Great Expectations Realty, and with me today is my good friend Alex here. He is a property manager with Great Expectations Realty. Alex, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let everyone know how to get in contact with you if they are looking for an excellent property manager.
Hi, my name is Alex Hernandez, and you can contact me at my phone number, 786-587-6765, or you can email me at alexhernandez2277@gmail.com.
Oh, I love Gmail. You know, there's so many other options out there, but I think the entire world is catching up with me because all I see anymore is Gmail. It's a fantastic email resource. You can also go ahead and contact us on our website at greatexpectationspm.com if you're looking into property management or you just want to know more about it. There's a lot of people that are looking for rentals right now, right? Right, Alex?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have a waiting list just formed of people that are just waiting for us to have something come up. The market's hot, hot, hot.
Yeah, that makes it definitely very difficult for people that are actually wanting to rent something long term. They're struggling right now, right?
Oh, they definitely are. I mean, I've had all sorts of people tell me, this is the fifth house I've applied for.
Wow.
I had even one lady, she cried when I called her and I told her, hey, you're approved for the house.
Wow, that's crazy. And that's for a rental. You would think it would be for like, a home they're buying or something, but they're just happy to find someplace to live.
Yeah, no, I mean, the market's crazy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That I can definitely see. So what is it that you have as far as vacancies right now, or what do you have coming up?
Well, right now what I have coming up is a commercial property over in Bellevue. It's 2,483 square feet and it's zoned for B5 and it's a 1-year lease.
Okay, so B5, what is that?
So that is more of like a general purpose zoning. So, think of your mom and pop shops, maybe a small accountant's office, nothing heavy duty or
not industrial. Okay, yeah. Gotcha. All right, and definitely not residential.
No, definitely not residential.
Okay, cool. And right on, you said, where was that in Bellevue?
It's right on Highway 484.
Oh, wow.
So it's right after the library.
Oh, wow. Great location. Really great location. Okay, so what about for residential homes? Is there anything, or is it just all about the waiting list right now?
Right now, it's all about the waiting list with me.
Wow,
I've got nothing coming up.
Wow. Well, you are definitely known in our office for being the person that is just on the ball as far as leasing. As soon as something is even remotely available, you're like Johnny on the spot with it, right? So
yeah.
You're like the guy to call for getting something leased out. Now, you do one-time rentals is what we call it, but can you explain what a one-time rental is?
Sure. So a one-time rental is where we don't manage the property, but the owner doesn't want to go through the hassle of having to screen applicants and actually publicize their listing. So that's where I come in. I put it on the markets, put it on the MLS. I handle all the screening of our potential tenants, and then once we have a approved application, I hand it over to the owner with the signed lease, and they go ahead and they manage the property.
So all the showings, all the screenings, all of it.
Yeah, all the showings, all the screenings, I handle that. And then I just give the best to the owner.
Awesome. Okay. So that works out for some owners, especially if they're local, but maybe, because I know a lot of times over the years when there's just these absolutely terrible stories for landlords of, people leaving in a mess and stuff like that, it's normally because they didn't screen the tenants. And, normally the tenants had 5 evictions or something crazy before and they just had no idea. So, I mean, that really helps bring down the risk, right?
Oh, most definitely. It's one thing to do it yourself. I know a lot of first-time investors, they want to do it, but there's a lot of risk going involved with that, because if you don't have a good software that can screen the tenants, you're potentially letting in a tenant that might actually cost you in the long run as far as rehabbing a property, where if you have a good property manager, that they have a good system in place and they know what they're looking for, what their standards are, it can really cut down on that risk of having a bad tenant.
Right. Well, we definitely have the software in place. We just did a major overhaul over at GER, and we went over to AppFolio. That was
that was fun.
That was a rough transition, but it was definitely a long time in coming. We'd been about 4 years with the other software, and it was time for a change. We definitely needed to update those processes. But AppFolio seems to be absolutely amazing. Just the pet screening and stuff like that is just, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So, so for those out there that are maybe they're thinking about getting into investing, or maybe they are what we call reluctant landlords, they just were left a house, or maybe they were wanting to do a flip and it's just not working out or whatever, so they're landlords. What exactly does a property manager do?
Well, a property manager, I already talked a little bit about what we do as far as the one-time leasing goes, but property management, we take care of the property, so the owner doesn't have to worry about holding on to the security deposit of the tenants, having to be in contact with the tenant, having to actually be getting calls at 2 a.m. if their toilet doesn't work. So I go ahead and I handle all of that. So I have the people in place that will be able to come out at 2 a.m. if the toilet's broken. I have that knowledge of who's a good connection for those, as well as I do all the screening myself, whereas some of these newer landlords, they might not have that in place, and that really brings in a lot of risk. If you can't effectively screen a tenant, you don't know who you're bringing into your house.
Right, and that applies for the vendors as well, because if they don't have a list of reputable vendors, people that can go out and take care of the house, plumbers, electricians, stuff like that, they run the risk of maybe paying somebody to do a job and it not getting completed, or getting a really, really expensive bill for something that really shouldn't have been that much. So that's definitely helpful to have, what is it we always say, I got a guy.
Yeah, I got a guy. It's an easy thing to look over, but I think it's invaluable in our service, really, is having those good connections, because anybody could come out to do one job, but if you're being price gouged because you don't know anybody better, or you're getting somebody in that might do a subpar job, it's going to cost you more in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. Just because it's cheapest doesn't mean it's best. I think you always get what you pay for. So having multiple vendors on the list for even one thing is great. So why should someone hire a property manager?
Well, I always say you either have time or you have money. It's almost never both. So with a property manager, you have time, because now the owner doesn't have to be landlord. Now they have somebody that they can do all of that stuff for them, and they can focus on maybe doing another flip, maybe buying another rental property. They have more time to work on getting some more passive income coming in. So that's one thing. Again, the other one is the connections. Good connections are invaluable, and if you're just starting out, it can be a really rough road to figure out who's a good contractor, who's a bad contractor, what's a good price for what the job is, where the property manager, they have that experience because they have multiple years in the business of just managing a property, so they know who to call, who not to call, as well as a property manager actually knows Florida law. And I've seen a lot of times new landlords that decide that they would rather save money and manage it themselves because they don't know the Florida laws. They can actually get into some big issues that can cost them more than if they just got a knowledgeable, experienced property manager.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that before, where they attempt to, and I can understand, try and save a little bit of money, but they attempt to manage it themselves and get into a huge legal issue, and then they've got no rent coming in. They still have to pay a mortgage, and then they're trying to get us to come in and try and fix the situation after the fact. But at that point, it's up to an attorney. We're not going to practice law without a license. So our license is leasing, advertising, property management type stuff. But once it goes to a legal dispute in the courts, that's beyond what we can repair.
Oh yeah, at that point you have to send it over to a lawyer. But if you get a good property manager in early enough, it can help mitigate that, and you don't have to end up at a lawyer, going to a lawyer.
Absolutely, because that's a lot more expensive than us.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so what about this new thing that I keep hearing about that we're getting into and everything? You've been doing it for a couple of years now. You are managing Airbnbs. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about that?
Sure. So an Airbnb is essentially vacational rental homes. So it operates more like a hotel where you have a check-in time. You're there for, say, 2 days, and then you check out at a time. So it's a lot more intensive than just a regular long-term rental, but it definitely can pay you more. Just depends on the market, really. And a lot of the times, because it's more of like a hotel setting, you have less expenses because it's just maybe clean it before the next person gets in versus, maybe I have to repair the flooring because this tenant was in the house for 2 years.
Right. So there's a lot more turnover, but at the same time, it's a lot more lucrative. So, or it can be if done correctly. Yeah, I would highly recommend, if you're going to do Airbnb, definitely have a property manager no matter where you are, because it is very time intensive.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's lots of times where, the people are checking out 10 a.m. say on a Sunday, and then the next guest wants to be in at 2 p.m. Sunday that same day. So you really have to have the connections to be able to have somebody get in there at that time, clean it well. You don't want to have them do a bad job and then the next guest comes in and is complaining that, well, the house is a mess. So definitely a property manager is necessary almost for one of those, unless you're going to be in the area to micromanage it.
Right. So this is entire residences. This isn't like you're trying to do like rooms or something, right?
Well, you can do rooms. The more lucrative is just whole residence. So, rent out the whole house versus renting out one of the rooms.
Okay. So as an owner, if you wanted to rent out, or not that we're recommending that for safety issues, but it is possible with that Airbnb site to do that, but that's not something you do.
Yes, it is possible. It's something I don't do. I typically wouldn't really recommend it unless the owner is local and wants to be boots on the ground, because it definitely is less lucrative than it is just renting out the whole place, as well as it can be, a bit of a safety issue.
Right, absolutely. So taking kind of that with a grain of salt. So, but you've got a few Airbnbs that you've been doing for a while now, what, a year or two? So
so my longest one is we're at the 1.5 year mark, and we have another one that we just got it ready at the start of May.
Wow.
And right now I'm working on getting a third one ready. Should be ready for this upcoming weekend to be put on the rental sites right next to the Silver Spring State Park.
Well, I have to say, I have to give you congratulations, because getting that superhost status is extremely difficult, and you have excelled at this, obviously, because you do have that status. And if anybody knows, going into the Airbnb to get the superhost status means basically 5 stars across the board every time, and that's really hard to do. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, it was quite a journey to get there.
So for anybody that is interested in finding out more about that or more about your services, can you tell everybody your contact information one more time, Alex?
Yeah, so my phone number is 786-587-6765. You can call or text me. You can also email me at alexhernandez2277@gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. And if you want to find out more about the Great Expectations Realty Property Management Services, you can also go online. We have a website just for the property management side, which is GER.ExpectPM.com. So feel free to check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the stats coming up. You want to help me out with that?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay, so we've got, of course, we have a whole bunch of residential that hit. I say a whole bunch, and it's not really actually that much. So in the last 7 days, looks like we've got 206 new listings that have hit the market. So those are all single family homes, condos, anything that qualifies under residential. So 206 of those. Price increase 54, price decrease 98. So that's kind of interesting. Almost half of the amount of houses that hit the market actually decreased in price. So I think probably the interest rate had something to do with that, with the interest rate hike.
Definitely. I mean, as the interest rates go up, it's going to be difficult to be priced in for a house at $250. Well, now your interest rate is higher, so you're going to be probably paying $254.
Right. It's crazy. So the back on the market, it looks like a lot of people had an issue with that too, because there were 68 houses or 68 residential properties, I should say, that came back on the market, which means when you have a house and it goes under contract, and for some reason the contract doesn't go to completion, it doesn't actually close, that's when you have a back on the market. When you have that back on the market situation, it could have absolutely nothing to do with the house. It could be that the buyer's financing fell through for personal reasons. Maybe they backed out because of an emergency. It might be that the house did actually not pass their inspection, not necessarily for the bank or anything like that, but maybe it was just more than what the buyer wanted to take on. It could be for a lot of different reasons, really. So between all of the aspects of it, the seller, the buyer, the financing, all parties involved, it just never went to closing. But 68, that's a lot. That is a lot that went back on the market. So we're seeing a lot of turnover that way. Sold, there was over 223. So that means that we, again, sold more houses than have actually hit the market. For pending, that's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's 273 pending houses.
That's a lot. So 273 pending and only 206 new listings this week. So kind of interesting, those numbers. We did see 30 canceled deals. So 30 canceled listings. So that is interesting as well. It's really rare to see that many, especially in mid-month. So just a lot of fluctuations in the market this week. Really strange, going, highs and lows in there, that's for sure, but things are still selling. Again, I'm going to greatly impress upon you that if you are looking to sell your home and you're waiting for the top of the market, that time is now. With these fluctuations, it's kind of making things a little uneasy right now with those increases with the interest rates. That is definitely going to affect your home value, because you're going to have less of a buyer pool that is going to be able to purchase that home. And if you have less demand, that means that there's going to be less of a price that you're going to be able to ask for that same house than you would in a market where there's a large demand and low supply. So again, we still are selling homes out there, but now is the time. If you want to get that house up on the market, now is the time. Feel free, if you are looking to sell your home, you can go ahead and get a free estimate of your home's value right on our website. It's GER.ExpectMore for the sales side of things. You contact Alex over here for the rental side for sure, but if you're wanting to go ahead and find out your home's value, it's really easy to do that online. And you can go ahead and do that again at GER.ExpectMore. Feel free to do that. Okay, so what are one of the things that you've noticed about Marion County and property management and real estate sales and rentals and everything? Because you and I were talking about this earlier, and I think it's really interesting to bring out.
So one thing I've noticed is Marion County has a lot of property managers, a lot of realtors, but not as many of them speak Spanish, and we actually have a lot of Spanish clients, whether it's tenants that are living in the homes or whether it's the owners. And unfortunately, there's not as many as there is in English. But luckily, I was born and raised in Miami, so I speak Spanish as well. So I deal with, actually, a lot of my clients are actually just Spanish only. As far as tenants, same with the owners. A lot of them are just only Spanish-speaking people, and it's a shame that not as many property managers are bilingual, so it's more of a niche market for some.
Yeah, I have noticed that, of course, we are getting a lot more Spanish-speaking individuals, or especially only Spanish-speaking individuals. They don't have two languages, it's just Spanish. I thought that was going to be the case when they had the hurricanes and so forth down in Puerto Rico. I was thinking we would get a lot from Puerto Rico coming and, kind of moving up here. And I think that has proven to be the case, but we're getting people from all over that are primarily Spanish speaking. So, what are some of the countries that you're seeing?
Well, I've seen, like you mentioned, a lot of Puerto Ricans. I've actually seen a lot of Mexicans. Obviously some Cubans from moving up from Miami. But mostly it's a lot of Central Southern Americans coming up.
Yeah, I have noticed a lot from Miami. It's just become so incredibly expensive to live in Kissimmee or Miami that they're kind of coming over to our area, even though it's not as diverse, I would say, as some of those areas. So it is definitely an underserved community. So having that ability to talk to tenants and also homeowners that speak Spanish or have Spanish as their first language is huge. I mean, that's really great.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, a lot of the times, because they're underserviced, they have a harder time finding rentals, be it that they don't understand it, or sometimes, unfortunately, they don't feel comfortable signing a lease because they can't read it. Because,
Right.
well, nobody's there to translate it, or there's no Spanish lease.
That was one of the things that I liked about that new software we were working on, is that it actually has a lot of options for Spanish-speaking individuals, which our prior software did not. So it is nice to have more options and more ability to help those that need to be helped.
Definitely.
Yeah, so very cool, very cool. Well, thank you so much for that. Thanks so much to everyone for listening today. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please hit us up online. Alex, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah,
I
being here.
really appreciate it. It was awesome. Can you just one more time tell everyone how to get a hold of you if they have questions concerning real estate and or especially property management?
Of course. So my phone number is 786-587-6765, or you can email me at alexhernandez2277@gmail, and I also speak Spanish for our Spanish clients.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At Great Expectations Realty, we believe that you should expect more from your real estate experience. When you hire a realtor to sell your home, you should expect experienced advice on staging your home, professional photography, aerial photos, virtual video tours, and a national presence online to advertise your home to the largest pool of buyers. Your realtor should communicate from start to finish, and always remember this is your home. You are in the driver's seat. Call Great Expectations Realty at 352-817-9160 or go online to greatexpectationsrealty.com to get your free analysis of your home's market price. Great Expectations Realty. Expect more from real estate.